everyone, please take a look at the disclosure before we get into the morning call. It is 10 after 8, Monday, November 4th already. Wow, and let's get to it. Read that disclosure. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's morning call for Redler All Access. Hope everyone had a great weekend. For those of you that participated in the marathon, I hope you met your goals or just had some fun. You know, you got out there, that's important, especially if you did it for charity. As far as today, it is Monday, it's a new week, and we got to get down to it. Lots of earnings are behind us. You know, stock market closed at all-time highs on Friday. So many nice trades for us here. I hope everyone's participating and, you know, learning the process and following along, because we've been in some kind of portfolio approach almost since October 11th. So you're going on almost 3 weeks of this active sequence that has held where it's had to and given us lots of vehicles to trade. Today the futures are up 12, 14 handles, giving us some follow through to Friday's power. So we'll trim some strength, manage some longs, and see, you know, what other names pop up to figure out if we can get some more trades or, you know, continue to move forward. So if you look here at the chart of the S&P Cash, what do I mean? Well, remember this gap up here at 29.62, that gap held, that's what put us into some kind of portfolio approach. Why? Because it took back all the moving averages, and from here, it's been riding the 8-day up ever since. Remember this little RDR? I think I've been long the SPYs ever since 29.95, so that's a nice move. Last week, it proved it could hold the prior resistance that turns into support. And then on Friday, as soon as I saw that number, I tweeted to you guys saying, hey, looks like Goldilocks to me. A strong report, not too strong where the Fed's going to all of a sudden, you know, be a headwind, but, you know, strong enough that people are happy about the economy and, you know, good enough with earnings for different stocks to lead the way. So I think it sticks. So I did buy more SPYs that day, so this way I could sell some. So if you look at the SPYs, you know, here you go. Gap up 295.57, pro gap held. That means there was strength there. The bears couldn't close the gap, so anyone caught short, you know, had to figure out a way to cover higher, etc. So anyway, back above the moving averages, and we've been above the moving averages ever since. Remember this little red dog reversal here? That's pretty much, you know, my buy, or the, you know, to keep it on the VTF, to give you guys the confidence to do so. And I've been trying to post a picture of the VTF the past, you know, by the end of the day, so you can see what I'm doing. Not to say it's always right, but at least it shows you what direction I'm looking at. And I think I've had 5 to 9 longs, you know, pretty much since this spot at least. Anyway, last week proved to hold this area, which was a little tricky, and then I was buying 304.55 after the report, and then, you know, took it home, and now into the 307s. I'm trimming some, and I'll try and stay with some. Listen, I could get out of everything into this move, considering the 8 days down here, so we're definitely a little stretched. But by staying long some, it keeps me from, you know, getting a cute short on that could, you know, get you a little ugly. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I get flat so I could buy a dip and keep managing it. But, you know, what's been working is having a little on, you know, taking a little bit of pain, you know, selling some strength and booking some. So this way I'm staying with it. So I'm staying engaged to buy more. But anyway, at this point, I would not be looking to buy the first 5, 15, 30 minutes. I'd be looking to trim and then see how we react and maybe find ways to buy more versus spot. The Qs have been really nice for you guys. I've been long tech names, but just not the Qs also. This also, you know, this too, look how it broke above this flag type pattern. This was that red dog reversal that put the active bulls back in control after that. Pretty ugly candle. You know, so if you didn't want to get in here really on this inside day, that was your day to say, hey, you know what, we could get ready to go, and then you had time intraday to take that out. So anyway, held this 195 area, and now all of a sudden, power on Friday, we're above 200. So definitely trim into that. Don't add to that. Again, if you get flat, sometimes it's hard to rebuy back, but I could see why you would, especially if you're super duper active. You know, if you're a swing trader, it's a different story. If you're only making a trade once or twice a week, then, you know, if you sell today, you might not get back involved, and who knows, you know, by the end of the week, it could be 205. So we'll see. But all in all, this, you know, really nice move. The IWM, I've been trying to keep people away from just trying to short it, you know, because it could play catch up, and it seems like it's playing catch up, and it definitely changed again, you know, when it got back above all these moving averages. Some of you guys are long verse 153 and never got back below that. And here we are back into the 158s and 159s. You know, the measured move from 144 to 158 is like 170 plus. So just don't get caught, shorting this because you think it lagged, because these type of things could play catch up. It might actually even give you more outperformance than the SPYs and the Qs in the next week or two if it tried to play catch up while those things continue to trend. But anyway, held the 21-day here, got above 157.34. 158.19 is Friday's high. If you long it from Friday, trim some into strength and then see how it handles this area, and just don't fight this thing. Remember last time it moved so fast, people lost a lot of money fighting it before that. Not saying that this can't happen again, but until it really shows you that it will, just try and ride it or stay away from it. The banks, JP Morgan, remember how it got extended in this little topping tail? Some of you guys made some money, some good money short those 128. Sometimes that's what's good to do when you could sell calls. You have some room and some premium. I did well with them. I didn't get a zero where I collected everything, so I was a little scared. I covered them at 14 cents. But anyway, here you are, wound up holding. Nice trade on Friday above, and now it's probably opening up here, which would be a level to probably, sell some. Doesn't mean it's a good short today, but sell some as, big range from here to there. I chose to go with the banks, not the banks, the Bank of America after earnings. I needed some kind of exposure to the banks. And since I trade these crazy high beta names that have big ranges, I figured Bank of America I can control. I could buy it. I could have a reversal level. I could add. I could take off. And thank goodness we sold into that 32 area. So this way I felt comfortable buying back into the prior breakout. So all in all, I hope you guys have been riding this with me. It's not a barn burner, but it's definitely something to do. As far as making money wise, one of my positions. When you're in a portfolio approach, you can't have 7 to 10 names of the crazy ones. You need something that you feel comfortable just, adding and taking off and staying with. And that's what I did with Bank of America. We got long right in here. Okay, nice move. Got pretty flattish. Not flattish, but, sold some strength so I could buy some back. And now I'm back to what I feel comfortable with. And then at some point, this probably gets taken out. And then we see the 33 plus that I started to talk about when we were down here. So I still think it, and I'm going to try and stay with it and hopefully keep you guys involved there. I'm sure there's some other banks that look good too, but I'm not going to get into them. As far as the go-to list, listen, guys, I sat here on Thursday morning right after Apple earnings, and I did besides the Redler All Access video, which you guys all know, I did a freebie. I like to, help the greater good at times too, because again, with something like Apple that I know very well that the world wants to know how to trade, I was like, okay. I didn't take it long into earnings because that's not what I do. But let's see if we could buy Versa level. And I said it would probably be good if it holds 245 because that was a prior pivot. And then we see if we could add on strength, which was what Friday was. And wow, boy, did it work out really well. So anyway, I hope you guys made a lot of money here. This was such a great trade, so methodical. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. Where this tail did not exist, by the way. It did not get below 245. Okay, it got above the prior high, stayed above it, and then you had a chance. And if you were with me on the VTF, you saw that I did add to my Apple when it got above 249 and 249.75, and wow, what a move! To 255.93. I held it all day to try and give everyone confidence to sit in it and have it overnight. And now above, I think 257. I tweeted to you guys, before the morning call. It's 8:19, which I always, when a gap's in my favor, I always trim some to book some so I could stay with some. So sold some already, and I'm still in some. So some people are like, Red Dog, would you get flat Apple up here? If I get flat, two things happen, unfortunately. Hold on, let's just make this a little clearer. It makes it hard to get back in it. Like if all of a sudden Apple goes to 260 today, I would be probably a little upset that I sold most of it into the 257s. And sometimes if I get flat, then I kind of look for a cute short that is not the right way to go and could lose you money. So I know some guys on Friday were like, shorting this thing at 253, 254 just for a cute pull-in that didn't happen, and they wound up losing money, or they might have even shorted more, and now they're short coming in today, and it's a bad start to a Monday when it should be a really good start. So anyway, this is what Apple looks like. What a fantastic trade. Here was at 245, so I already sold some, and I'll stay with some. Could I get flatted above 257 and change? Yeah, I might. I don't know. Because again, we were buying it in here at 247 to sell 257. That's a $10 move in Apple over 3 days. And if you know my day count rule, I usually like to buy day 1 here, add day 2, and trim day 3. But sometimes if I get out on day 3, I get upset that day 4, day 5, day 6 happens. But again, can't get upset making money. That's the process. So I'm actually going to, I like this look that I just did here. So I'm going to save it so I could tweet it to you guys. Save image. You know what, I'll do it later. Anyway, so that's that. I'm also in some Amazon. Amazon is different. It's been lagging. It's still lethargic, but it's looking a little bit better here. Okay, it's finally back above all the moving averages. I think with the market at highs, people like, let's see if Amazon can play some catch up. We'll see today, does it get above 7? It's already above 1797. Does it hold it? And it's above 1798. I'm going to try and stay with it. I feel like there's nothing until 1850 if it wanted to get there and float up there. What could make it interesting, like right now it's above 1800 and change, maybe trim some. If you sold the 1810s or the 1820s for this Friday, that would make you hold it longer. I remember I did that a bunch of months ago, so I'm not worried about the little gyrations in it. I'd be look how close it is to the bottom. I'd feel very, it'd be odd if this thing just falls apart. I guess the market would have to be at the top for that, or a short-term top. But anyway, if just say, I don't know what premium, let's just say it's 1802, and you could sell the 1810s for $15, that's like you're getting forced to hold it to 1825. So you're getting forced to make another 25 points versus what you just made last week. And if all of a sudden it pulls back into the 1790s, 1785s and doesn't do much, you get to keep that $15, and then maybe we start a new week and then you keep the premium and then you do it again. That's just a thought. I think I did that somewhere in here and it worked out well, if I remember correctly. But anyway, there is some room here. But then again, if you sell the call, sometimes you have to hold the stock and you hold it longer. But that's why you're doing it, holding it longer, so you get paid there. Anyway, that's that. Facebook isn't acting special, isn't powering and leading the way, but it held the 190 area. Do you buy it above 194 today? I probably won't, but I would think this is the kind of trade where maybe you're just long versus 190. If it stays above 190 this week, chances are, who knows, maybe it could work its way to 198.09 or more, but buying strength is probably tough. But a step in the right direction would be hanging above 194.11. Google's kind of the same thing. The report wasn't special enough to get it to lead, but it still holds in kind of well. It held the 1250 area, which we talked about last week, which is right here. So this is 1250. It held. This is Friday's high. This is 1299, and that's 1296. So can it get above 1300 in the next few sessions? Maybe. Can you add to a long where it's not showing power? That's tricky. So I would say if you think that Google's going to get above 1300, you're probably better off being in small, just letting it trend versus a level, and that could be 1250, or it could even be 1273. Does it stay above that today? And then there's room to 1300. Netflix is trying to be relevant. It's got a small little bullish flag here, so it's got to hold this 283 to potentially get above 293 to get towards 300 plus. But to me, I'm very skeptical about that, so I'm probably not going to be trading it much unless it shows me something blaring, where especially not buying it up $2. If anything, some guys might try and fade it. But it's hanging out a little bit better than it has recently. But again, 283 is the level it's got to hold. Roku has earnings on Wednesday. Fantastic trade for us, guys. What a nice vehicle. Starting from earlier this year to even this most recent sequence that started right in here. And now we'll see, can it hold this 143 area and channel and build a new base for then earnings on Wednesday, which will have to be very, very strong for it to clear this. Hey, it might even try and clear that pre-earnings. We've seen pre-earnings moves, but this has been one heck of a pre-earnings move prior. So we'll see. Tesla, what a fantastic option trade for us. We bought the what's it called, the one, what did we buy here, the 275s, and sold the 290s, and I think it cost me $1.75 to make 15. That helped my entire option account. And also there was a lot of great trading here. But now the question is, can it be special? Can it give us another sequence higher? So for now, some guys might be long versus 309.80. It was kind of weak on Friday. It was out of play while the market was strong. So this is your little channel here. So two ways to play it. A, be long a little versus 309.80 if you feel comfortable sitting in it, which I probably should be sitting in it, but I've been trying to be a little bit more perfect. And then the next trade is it gets above and stays above this 319 with power and volume, and then you have 330, 340, and maybe it heads back up. Right now, it's letting the 8-day catch up, which it needed after such a big move in the 21-day. And do you buy it up $1.50 today? I don't know. I'll probably again watch it a little bit and just let it prove it's going to stay special. Twitter, still horrible. I did buy a little bit on this day, and I'm still in some. I guess you could use Friday's low as a stop, or you could go all the way to here. This is what, 29.41. It's up like 25, 30 cents just because the market's up. I don't know. I just bought a little bit because I didn't get trapped in it like a lot of guys. So I figured, hey, why not try some a little down here? Because if it did bounce, I would, I like to be in it. I like to be in it sometimes, especially a name like Twitter, which I have a lot of friends on Twitter that I love hanging out with and talking to. They need better management. This company needs to be bought. Just Jack has way too much going on. With the president tweeting every second and every company, follow us on Twitter. It could be doing so much more if it had like a real management team, creating products around its user base and whatever. But I'm not going to get into it. So at this point, let's just simplify it. I'll probably be in it. If it went below 29.41, I'll probably sell it. And then if it kind of hangs in here, maybe I buy it back. I don't know. I'm not overly looking at it. Snap also. This one actually was much better. Not as broken. Gave us a nice red dog reversal buy here. Remember, we added above 13.65. I sold it on this day, so I wasn't in it for Friday. Ultimately, nice bounce. Took back out this area. So this is more in the game versus a Twitter. Anyway, we'll redo this. And I guess you see now if it holds, what's this? 14.55. So I guess you could raise your stop. I would say if you're in it, use 14.55 as a stop. I just really wouldn't over focus on it, and I wouldn't be adding on strength here. It's a different name. But on dips, it's fine. Microsoft, I'm in, and this could be a little bit of a focus. Last week, I think I did a pretty good job buying a dip. It felt weaker. Intraday, it felt a lot weaker than other things. Maybe just because it needed the moving averages to catch up, and now that it did, we got our initially long in here versus the gap, and now this looks pretty clean above this. It would be nice if it could stay above it. That would keep me long. And then the question is, will there be like a momentum move above this upper flag? I hope so. I already trimmed a little bit. It's up 80 cents. So every time it's been up pre-market with the futures, I trim some, and then it pulls back. I buy some. And at some point, we might be able to buy above 145 if it really shows some power and volume, and then get a trade through 145.67, and then it could see higher highs. This is a really big channel. So you would assume that would be the case. I would assume it, but we'll see. I don't love anything else really in this group. Coop is acted better than most names. It could work its way back to fill that gap, but again, it trades so sloppy. Twilio, I think they had to rework their earnings, or they came out with some kind of news saying that they had to take a little bit of earnings off of what they said they were, which was worse than the worst earnings. So make sure this 92.89 holds. As far as new issues, it's beyond. Tried to bounce and didn't really have any kind of power or anything. So it got to 90, got rejected. I made money on this day. I lost money on that day. Now, if it breaks 80.10, it could definitely go lower. Never filled this gap. So another pro gap to the downside that didn't get filled. It shows downside power. So just see how that goes. Lyft got sold on decent numbers this big day. Look at that. Wow. Thank God I'm not overly trading. I tried to do it here, and then I got stopped out somewhere in there. I don't take it for earnings anyway. Uber's after the close today. I don't know if it's going to help. It's definitely broken. And then Wednesday is a lockup, and it's been broken. And if they, maybe they can't do the same thing twice and sell Uber if it has great earnings. But I don't know if it's going to have great earnings. I definitely wouldn't be long into it. We'll see how it reacts maybe tomorrow morning if there's a trade versus these lower levels. It could definitely pull like a pins where missed. And then there was a trade for some guys versus the low on Friday, but still very, very broken. Very, very broken. Again, this is a good reason why we do not take any stock into earnings, even if you like the name or like the company. or and same thing when it's trading as a new issue. It could, it could change pace real easy. Like remember, pins was awesome in here, okay, and then all of a sudden changed right there on that sell on this bear flag, and then it acted poorly into the numbers, and then boom. But now, I guess you could say there is a gap here. So see what it does here. Does this try and fill it better than what I just showed you with Beyond? So maybe there's a trade here, maybe there isn't. But I would think that this has a better future than that, but who knows? Other new issues, there's nothing, this PGNY was a good one. Thanks for the heads up to LD. We bought it on that day, came out on a time when IPOs weren't doing so well, and gave you a nice 2-day move, held. Probably up a little bit. I would trim some. I wouldn't, buy it after this, but that looks good. Just be careful, because remember when net looked good too, net had that move and then broke. So things change very fast in this IPO arena, considering there's not much, the red dog reversal there, much follow through. Metals are trying to be relevant. I thought it was pretty interesting that, it didn't sell off. The GLD did not sell off when the market made new highs. So make sure the GLD holds this if it's going to continue. SLV, holding this spot. What is this? This is 1681. I have calls for this Friday, so it'd be nice if this could go 50 cents or so. That would make me some money. If not, it's not the end of the world. 1680-ish. See if that holds right here. That would be nice. Anyway, still holding in well. By buying it here and selling some, it gave me some wherewithal to hold it. Some guys are looking at McDonald's. The CEO had a step down. It was down $4 or $5. This area should be a decent area to look. I would think long. I would think it was broken, thank goodness. So no traders are probably in this. And some might even be short. That's how weak it was Friday. Remember this trend break, and then broke again here. So this could be a spot if, for a longer term, if I was a hedge fund or not a hedge fund, or I don't even know, if I was a long-term guy, I said, hey, I'm sure McDonald's will shake this off in the future. It was as high as 220, now it's a 188. This would be a spot to nibble some, but it is broken for the active guys, so don't do too much. So it's 8:33. Let me take a quick look at where the SPYs are now. SPYs, let's see, SPY is up $1.91. 308.01. I'm still in those, so that's good. And by the way, guys, by holding some longs, even when things are stretched, it keeps you away from fighting the trend and getting short. So with that said, I hope everyone had a great October. I've been riding the portfolio approach since the 11th. I've been looking at my VTF with the disclosures in the morning. I try and give you the VTF at the close. I know I'm having, knock on wood, a great start to the fourth quarter. So if you're following my lead, hopefully that means you're breeding some confidence into your trading and following along, or at least not fighting this move. I talked to a lot of traders out there over the weekend. They looked miserable. I mean, why are you so miserable? Like, I'm short this, I'm caught in that. I'm like, what's the matter with you? This spider move, it almost has been like a full-fledged technical lesson. It doesn't get more methodical than this if you really just look at it. In here it's hard, but you had this wedge, so it gapped above all these lower highs, held the moving averages, and then rode the 8-day all the way up and showed some power and gave even some spots to buy dips and add on strength. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to go post some charts. I'm going to try and do a midday call, and let's see what this week brings us.